Um, so I'll start from the bottom, I guess. I don't know what everybody's peptide experiences or education may be, but a peptide is just a chain of amino acids, two or more amino acids combined, that in a certain sequence communicate to the body a certain message. So we know that we can chop up different amino acids, put them in different orders, and put them into the body, and it's going to make the body signal to a certain response and create a certain action. And these peptides are derived from just years of research figuring out what causes what reaction in the body, right? And so when you take a drug like ibuprofen to get rid of pain, what that does is it limits the prostaglandin release. Prostaglandins can be inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. If you have pain, obviously they're inflammatory. So if you stop the prostaglandin release, you stop the inflammatory process. However, by doing that, you're limiting other functions in the body. The ability to heal properly, the ability to regenerate tissue, that all is blunted by taking an ibuprofen. Whereas you have a product like a BPC 157, which is a very well-known peptide that blunts inflammation. But what it does is it instead of blocking a certain process that halts other processes in the body, all it does is turn off the signaling to the inflammation. And it doesn't block a certain pathway that's going to allow your body not to heal faster. It actually is going to increase the healing rate. So if you're somebody that's, let's say you go to the gym, you work out, you're breaking down tissue when you train with weights. If you take an ibuprofen because you're sore, you're limiting your ability to recover. If you take something like BPC, it's going to help you get rid of the pain, but it's also going to help you recover. And the faster you recover, the stronger those muscles are. This is why bodybuilders take steroids. They break down the tissue, testosterone, things like that, and make your body heal faster. So now you're stronger and you have less breakdown of the tissue, more satellite cells regrouping in and becoming bigger. Your body adapts and gets bigger muscles and stronger muscles and tendons. That's just a wild example of that. Um, Peptides, for most part, there are a few categories that you have to be a little more careful with, but for the most part, they're extremely safe. Like we have doctors that I work with that will inject an entire vial of a peptide in an IV, but that's just depending on, it's a chronic patient where they're trying to just shut down a process really quickly. For most part, this is going to be a daily injection for your patients. The only ones that are going to do these super high doses are chronically ill patients under supervision of a professional that's been doing this for years. They know what they're doing, right? For the most part, peptide therapy is very, very easy. We basically, the way we set it up at our pharmacy is we kind of present the SIGs as general as they can be. Inject 20 units a day, 5 days a week. And the reason we do 5 days a week is because if you did it every single day, your body would build resistance to it. Your receptors that take the signaling would get overwhelmed and eventually not work. It's just like anything you take. If anybody takes like an ADD medication, first time you ever took it, extremely focused. Everything was great. You felt good. The more you take it, the more you need because your body's not responding the same way. Because your receptors, your body gets used to it. It just doesn't function the same way anymore. So we take 2 days off, let our body kind of clean out a little bit, and then go again. And you can stay on these peptides, most of them for, anywhere from 3 to 6 months with no issues. The only ones you have to worry about were sometimes we see with the growth hormone inducing peptides, you'll see people have reactions to that. And it's not a allergic reaction. It's just a buildup of something in the body. We don't actually know exactly what it is, but the body starts rejecting these compounds. And then once that happens, they just need to take a longer break, 2 to 3 months, and get off of them.
So how do you
So
see med spas, like medical spas that are doing peptides? What are they usually using these for?
they're usually using these for anti-aging. Oh, we got a guest real quick. Oh, say hi.
Hi there, Kitty.
Okay, Dad's got to work. Go back in the house, okay?
Yeah, and I need water.
Tell your mom. Apologize for that. Um, well, I want to go. I want to break it down a little further first. I know I'm kind of scattered when I talk sometimes, but there's different categories of these peptides. So we have growth hormone inducing peptides. We have our healing peptides. We have our aesthetic peptides, as we'll call them. And then you just have some that are just anti-aging, right? Those are the main categories. The most popular are the healing and recovery peptides, BPC, TB500, KPV, and copper. Those are the top four that you'll see. You see people marketing online for the Glow Blend or the Clo Blend and things like that. Those are those four peptides in there, and they all work synergistically together. People used to think if you combine the peptides into one vial, it can delineate some of the other proteins or make them not as functional, not as stable. But our research has shown that that's not true, and we actually get much better results by combining certain peptides together. So with your that I went over your healing peptides, and then you have your growth hormone inducing peptides, which are you have your CJC, ipamorelin, cimarelin, tesmorelin, ipamorelin. Those are all going to signal to the pituitary to release growth hormone. Now, they do have different effects on how they do that and what outcomes you get from it. So, like a tesmorelin is going, and AOD, those two are going to focus on abdominal fat. So they're great for helping you to lose body fat. CJC, ipamorelin, and ibutamorin, they're going to be more on the muscle building side. They're going to promote growth hormone in a different way, where it more so shuttles nutrients to the muscle and things like that. And they're also in those same categories. You'll have some like the CJCs that you're going to, and some Moreland you're going to take at night because of the way they function in the body. They can make you drowsy sometimes, whereas the tesmorelin you can take it any time of day, and you won't feel any side effects from it. And a lot of the side effects you feel when you increase growth hormone, you increase IGF-1, the body signals for insulin. The insulin comes out, and then you could see somebody with some blood sugar issues. You might see your blood sugar drop. So it's also if you have some blood sugar issues, and I'm not talking about diabetes, just you've noticed your blood sugar drop here and there. Just be cognizant of that, and make sure that you're aware of what may happen in your body. But what it's doing is it's shuttling nutrients into the muscle. These peptides are not actually muscle growth peptides. Growth hormone doesn't function that way. Growth hormone is basically turns into IGF-1, which is cellular growth, but it also is the shuttling of nutrients through the insulin pathway. And I know a lot of people think from listening to TikTok and whatever you hear that insulin is bad. Insulin is not bad. You release insulin because you have sugar in your blood, and your body needs to pull that into the cells. If your body's not releasing the insulin, then we call it insulin resistant. Your body's not really functioning well, and that's when you start to gain weight because your body's just going to absorb that blood sugar over time. It's going to turn it into fat, and then that's where you start to gain body fat. And then we talked about the growth hormone inducing peptides, the healing peptides, and then the anti-aging peptides. Epithalon is one. We combine it with a copper peptide in one of our blends. We just call it, it's just basically going to help with collagen production from both from the copper peptide. The epithalon is more of a anti-aging. It's going to reduce your telomere or increase your telomere length. The longer your telomeres are, the longer your lifespan is, right? But epithalon can be done by itself. When you do it by itself, there is a protocol for it that we don't have on our sheets or anything like that. But this is, the extreme anti-aging guys. They'll do epithalon twice a year. You run a really high dose for about 2 to 3 weeks, twice a year, and that's all you do with that one. And then you have more of your mitochondrial benefits from like MOTS-C, SS31. These are actually helping your mitochondria to become more healthy. When your mitochondria are healthy, everything in your body is working better. If your mitochondria are dysfunctional, You don't create energy. You feel sluggish. So these things will give you energy, not like taking caffeine or anything like that, but it allows your body to produce the energy that it needs to function properly. Things like ATP. ATP is the number one thing that your body uses to move. Without ATP, if you're not producing ATP, your muscles cannot function. They have no energy to burn, right? And so the MOTS-C, the SS31 are the two of the top ones that we see for mitochondrial health. And there's different dosing on those as well that people will look at, but we kind of keep it at a pretty moderate dose, something that you could take long term instead of all at one time. And we have really good results with those as well. Then you have the biggest one that most of you probably won't touch very much is thymosin alpha. Thymosin alpha works on the immune system. So what it does is it increases your T cells, and your T cells are what fight things that are not supposed to be there. Infection. I don't want to say it's going to cure cancer or anything like that, but cancerous cells that are not supposed to be there, and it is used in those applications by trained physicians that are dealing with oncology. I don't recommend you using it in that aspect if you're not trained that way. However, if you have a patient that has just chronic bacterial infections, viral infections, fungal infections, like they've been exposed to mold, things like that, then the TA1, thymosin alpha 1, is a really good product. It's gaining popularity like crazy. So that's kind of a basic breakdown of the peptides, right? The ones that we see the most utilized with our pharmacy, number one is going to be the recovery blend. Recovery blend, I went over a minute ago, has the BPC, TB500, KPV, and copper peptide. The one caveat to that is that copper peptide can cause a site reaction that's kind of painful, redness, swelling, and sometimes it lasts for hours. Just people are sensitive to it. So we also make that same blend without the copper for those that are sensitive to copper. You'll notice pain reduction in your patients very quickly with this. There's different protocols. You can do high dose 3 days a week, or you can do our moderate dose that we do 5 days a week. But we go through thousands and thousands of vials of this per month.
Is this something that
really one of the top ones?
Migraines?
I'm sorry, Rachel, what was that?
Yeah, is this something that can be used for chronic migraines? We had a question about that.
It can be. I'm not saying it's going to work because it depends on what's causing the migraines, obviously, but it would be the best option out of anything that we offer to try. Migraines are caused, as you know, in different ways. So it's hard to tell exactly if it's going to work or not. It depends on what the pathway is for that migraine to just come on. But this would be your best option to try that. We make like a BPC in an oral form, but just know the oral form for patients that don't like to inject themselves doesn't work as well systemically. It's good in the gut, like if you have irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, any kind of thing like that, where your gut's inflamed. This is a great product for that. And honestly, I think almost everybody should be on it at some point, right? Because all the crap that we eat these days is causing inflammation in our gut, causing problems. That's causing problems down the road. Could open you up for autoimmune conditions. And so the BPC is a great, whether it's oral or injectable. If you do have somebody with stomach issues, I do recommend the oral over the injectable to start with, just for specific stomach issues only, right? The number 2 peptide blend that we see is sold is the fat burner blend. So this is AOD, which we said targets the abdominal fat. MOTS-C, which is a mitochondrial benefit, so it's going to release more ATP in the body to be used as energy. You have tesmorelin, which is also another growth hormone-inducing peptide that targets belly fat, and then ipamorelin. And the ipamorelin is not, it's in a different category than fat burner necessarily, but it's more on the muscle side. So we put it in there to help people to preserve some muscle while they're losing body fat. Those two are by far our top 2 sellers. And then we see the CJC ipamorelin is probably in 3rd place, and it just kind of dwindles down from there. But every one of the peptides that we offer are used in very high amounts, and it's only growing.
So how would that fat burner one differ from like Ozempic, for example?
Good question. With Ozempic, it reduces your appetite and it slows the gastric emptying. Works on a completely different pathway. So what we need to understand about Ozempic, tirzepatide, things like that, the reason those things work is because you eat less food, because your appetite is reduced. Your appetite is not going to be reduced by the fat burner blend. This is a good product, in my opinion, to power up over Ozempic or semaglutide or tirzepatide while you're on them. Let's say you worked your way up to taking 10 milligrams a week of tirzepatide. At a certain point, your body's going to get sort of used to that, and you're not going to see as much of the weight loss that you'd like. And also, if you're not training and doing all these other things, you're going to lose muscle. So you're losing body fat and muscle, which is not what we want at all. So I think it's good when you get further away in your journey with the GLP-1s to add this in at the end, and then wean your way off of the GLP-1s and stay on a peptide like this, right? It will help you to keep the body fat off. Your weight might go up a little bit because you're going to see some water gain from this. Because anytime you affect your hormones, especially growth hormone, you'll see water gain. But it's going to be very slight. As long as you're eating clean, that water weight will be very minimal, and it'll eventually dissipate down once you stay on it long enough. Your hormones regulate, your body will adapt to it. So don't think when first couple weeks you take it, you feel like your weight's going up. It's usually just water weight. So don't worry about that. But yeah, they're not close to the same thing, right? One is actually helping you burn fat, and one is just making you eat less. So
And then is that
ideally
also,
you'd want to burn fat and not eat less, right? So
is that also used as kind of like a maintenance program?
yeah, that's kind of the way we designed them, was that, and there's some others as well that you could take. Let's say you're just tired of taking tirzepatide, you don't like the way it feels. Semaglutide, same thing. This is a good way to bridge the gap. Try it out, run it for a while. And then if you need to go back on like a microdose of the tirzepatide or semaglutide just to help with the appetite, then that's what a lot of people do.
So what are some good questions that people should be asking when looking for a pharmacy that compounds these for them?
Yeah, that's probably the most important question that we can ask is what type of testing is the pharmacy doing? So what we do, I'll just give you what we do, and I'll tell you that's what should be done, because my compliance officer that we have on staff, she doesn't let us do anything that's not the right way, right? She's very strict on certain things. So you need to make sure that the powders that you're getting are from an FDA approved facility, like a manufacturing facility that's approved by the FDA. And then above that, we actually have the vendors that we use actually travel overseas to where these manufacturing facilities are, and they go in them to make sure that they're not some crazy situation, right? Not some fraudulent place. We've seen these and we know what they look like. They go in, and what the FDA has done now recently is they put green lights on certain manufacturing plants, mainly with the tirzepatide and semaglutide, but these guys are also making these other peptides. Is if it's green lit by the FDA, then the FDA has actually gone in, inspected everything, and it passes all the American standards. Because you have to realize that when it's overseas, their standards are not the same as ours, right? And if you're getting peptides that are manufactured in the United States, they are not in the same boat, unfortunately, right? The ones in the United States are being manufactured do not have proper COAs, which is a certificate of analysis. For anybody who doesn't know what that means, we want to make sure that we have the proper potency on these medications. We want to make sure that they have the proper testing to make sure there's no contaminants, heavy metals, or anything like that in the product. We do all that before we ever start anything, right? And then you get that peptide in the house. You have a competent team that does it in a sterile clean room, and then we send it off to Eagle Labs for testing, and we test for endotoxins, sterility, and then potency as well. So we make sure that everything is in check with our peptides before we release them. So if you have a pharmacy that's not willing to provide that information to you, then they're probably hiding something. Okay. We're very transparent. We're willing to show you guys all the testing, all the data for all of our products. And another thing is turnaround time. It's not about safety. It's about making sure your patients get what they need in a timely manner. And we strive to do a 48 to 72-hour turnaround time from when we receive the prescription to when it's in your hands. We ship to clinics, we ship to patients' homes. Any way that you want it shipped, we can do that. We can group shipments together. And another thing is to look at shipping costs. I mean, this adds up. If you're shipping just to patients, you're going to tack on $15 to every order. Some pharmacies charge $40 for every order. We stay at $15 nationwide, just to keep it simple. That may change one day if the shipping cost goes up, but for now, $15 per package shipped. So if you're shipping to your clinic, always make sure you group your orders so that there's only one shipping cost and they all get put together. We have a platform that we use called LifeFile. LifeFile is just an online ordering platform. A lot of you guys are probably used to it if you use compound pharmacies. You're going to go on there, you're going to log in, and then all the medications will be available to you. You'll have full transparency of the tracking, the processing of when that medication and kind of the trail of we received it, been checked, it's been double checked, it's been triple checked, now it's going out the door. And we are not perfect by any means. We make mistakes, we're humans. But our goal is to make sure that peptide or that hormone or that GLP-1 gets out the door at a timely manner and is correct every time. It's not always that way, unfortunately, but we try our best.
And we do have a QR code up on the screen if you are interested in getting an account set up with Optimal Balance Pharmacy. That QR code will take you to the new account form that you'll need to fill out completely and email it so that we can get your account set up. And then we'll be in contact with you to get you set up in LifeFile and do a whole presentation for you so you know how to use it and everything. But did you want to talk about that process a little bit more and how that works?
Mike, I'll let you take that one.
Just after they submit the new account form, like what exactly happens after they submit that form?
So when they submit the new account form, we will basically, it may take roughly 48 hours to get to their account form. Just to be transparent, it's not going to happen in the same day. We have hundreds of accounts coming in daily. Your service is not great, Mike. So what will happen is you'll get an email with a password change. So you'll log into LifeFile, you'll change your password. Now it's your own private password. And then once you submit your order via LifeFile, you can just watch it. It's very easy. So just account form comes through, we get you put in the system, you get an email, log on, correct your password or change your password to one that's private to you, and then you're ready to go. All medications should be available on there. The big caveat we have to look at is controlled substances. If you are a nurse practitioner, med spa, anybody that does not have a medical director oversight, we will not fill any controlled substances like testosterone, oxandrolone, different things like that. We have to have a overseeing medical director to do those. And so if you're a med spa, you generally have a medical director, so their name needs to be on the form. So if you have an overseeing medical director, make sure you put them on the form. Make sure you have their DEA, their MPI, everything that we need to go in and classify that doctor as qualified to fill these prescriptions or to submit these prescriptions, and then we'll go from there. If you're just an NP, you have no oversight, and you're in Texas, honestly, you have to have oversight. It doesn't matter. So everybody on this call, if you're in Texas, you have to have a medical director to be able to prescribe anything.
And there are some other states that don't require oversight, but you guys do require it anyway, or no?
No, but for controlled substances, yes. So like in Arizona, I think Colorado, different places, they don't require a medical director. like a nurse practitioner has full rights to write any prescription, control substances, everything. However, our state licensor will not let us prescribe or to there. We're actually, you know, pretty controlled on this, but we will fill scripts for those states as long as it's not a controlled substance. And people get mad at me because I won't do that. But the problem is we had the first doctor ever that was he was a naturopath, so he has his doctorate. He was writing peptides to us, no issues whatsoever. He wrote some testosterone prescriptions. Literally 2 weeks later, the state board was in our pharmacy, made us pull up the doctor's account, and said we can no longer ship anything to that doctor.
So the peptides are not considered controlled substances, right?
No. And here's a little bit of insight. You guys are probably the first people to hear this. Matter of fact, you are. RFK, Gary Brecka, and the head of the FDA met yesterday at RFK's home to discuss opening up 110 peptides to be used by compounding pharmacies.
That would be amazing.
Because there's a lot of these peptides that they fall under what they call category 2. And a lot of people are scared to write these prescriptions. But the reality is there's no permanent guidelines or restrictions on there. Basically, it says in the FDA's verbiage, we suggest you don't do this. We suggest you don't fill these. But they have no oversight of what we do, right? We're not governed by the FDA. We're a 503A pharmacy. We're governed by the state board. And we passed our inspection from the state board by 100%, and they had no issues with us doing these peptides. So everybody is compliant. Everybody is in place to do that. There is some people that are scared to do it, and that's okay. But soon, it seems like that's going to change, and there's going to be more access to more peptides that are beneficial.
That's really exciting. And is there a place where everyone can go and read more about the peptides that the pharmacy offers, or?
Yeah, and we have some information that some of my reps have made that's kind of basic to our peptides that we carry, but just this book right here, the Peptide Handbook, is a great book to start with and learn. I mean, just if you really want to understand how they work and function, go order a book. You know, get on Amazon, whatever, find a peptide book and order it. But we can also send you just our peptides that we carry and be more specific about what they can and can't do, or what they are purported to do in the body, right? We can't make any claims that they heal this or do that. We know that they do, but it's just a language barrier you have to sit with the FDA.
And if you're interested in getting a document of what all the pharmacy offers and some more information, feel free to message me on WhatsApp. And Mike can put my number up on the screen. It's 817-703-7378. That's my WhatsApp. If you need more information about the peptides, if that QR code's not working for you to get the new account form, I can send it to you through WhatsApp. That's just the easiest way for me to keep track of everything is through WhatsApp. But was there anything else that you wanted to say about peptides? I know I was curious if you had any peptides that were topical, like for skincare, or are they all oral and injectable?
Yeah, so the ones that we use in aesthetics, probably everybody knows this one already, is the GHKCU, the copper peptide. It signals for collagen reproduction. Now, if you inject it into your body, it can do that, right? But it's going to be different types of tissue. It's going to go everywhere. If you apply it to the face topically, where either just as a daily cream, which we're coming out with, we have a hair restoration drops that you can put on the head that has GHKCU and some other things in there as well. That is the number one aesthetic peptide, honestly. I mean, it for collagen production, for hair growth, it's nothing works better than that one. I'm actually in the process of trying out our hair restoration. I'm going to be our test dummy. So I'm using that one now. I've been on it for about a week and a half. So I'll share results after it's been about a month or two to see kind of results. With hair restoration, it takes time for sure. You know, it's not going to see results instantly. And
Do you
we're making
have
a
the
topical cream as well.
awesome?
Do I have Snap 8? Well, not yet, but I should have it soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine Snap 8 and GHKCU into a topical cream. So for those of you who don't know, Snap 8 does is it relaxes the muscles in the face. So it works similar to Botox, but it's not a neurotoxin, and it's also not as permanent as well. So it's a daily cream that you'll put on. It'll help to reduce some of the wrinkles by relaxing the muscles, but it also does stimulate collagen production. But so between the GHKCU and the Snap 8, anything else like that, we're going to see, you know, less wrinkles long term. Not because of the relaxing of the muscles, but because your body's actually producing more collagen, which is going to fill out those wrinkle spots in your face. That will be, hopefully we'll have that by January. I'm trying to source the peptide. We just have to make sure that the peptides that we source are the right ones, right? So we're going through a few manufacturers right now to see which ones have the best quality, and then once we have that down, we'll order it and start making that cream. So hopefully, I'd like to have it by Christmas, honestly, because I think it would be a very good promotional item for everybody. So hang
Will
tight
that
for
be
that one.
something that you have in a serum that can be microneedled as well as like an at-home cream, or just the cream?
Well, with the creams, I wouldn't microneedle with them as much because they're not a sterile product, right?
Right. But are you going to make a serum that can be microneedled, or would that even
Well,
be?
well, just the copper by itself is great, right? So you buy a copper peptide, and you just pull out what you need for that patient and use that for microneedling. Yeah, definitely.
And does that one require medical oversight to order?
Any prescription in Texas will. Yeah, unfortunately. You'll see some pharmacies out there that sell things wholesale. What they've done is they've had those created by a 503B lab pharmacy. 503Bs can sell wholesale. They don't need a patient specific prescription. So when they buy it from the 503B, they didn't make it. So now they can just sell it retail, right? Um, but what that does when they have another pharmacy make it, and then they purchase it and they resell it, as you can see, there's margin in there that they have to increase to make money on it. So it's going to be more expensive to buy it than it will be for us to make it. So unfortunately, we're not gonna go down that pathway. We like to keep our prices reasonable, and so we're gonna make it. It will require a prescription. And if you need help with some of that, like if you need help with a medical director, if you are on here and you don't have one, we work with a group that's all they do is medical directorship, and so they can come on board and not only help you as a medical director, but kind of guide you in certain things as well.
Should I give them your email address if they need that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Awesome. And as far as another pharmacy reselling a product like that, if it is considered like a medical grade, does that mean they would have to water it down in order to be able to sell it without a prescription?
No, I mean like methylene blue. That's a drug,
Okay.
right? It was the first ever approved drug by the FDA. But there's people that are selling those capsules, like actual pharmacies, not research grade. Like Strive Pharmacy sells it. But what they're doing is they're having it made somewhere else, bottled somewhere else with their label on it, and so they can sell it. So that's all there is to it.
Interesting.
I can't make anything and sell it without a prescription in my pharmacy.
Did you guys have any other questions before we wrap up, or is there anything else that you feel like you should add that everyone needs to know?
I will say this about peptides. Make sure that when you prescribe these to your patients, let them understand they're not miracle workers. They're not going to work overnight. This is just signaling to the body. The body has to receive that signal and then expel another signal or another reaction in the body. So it takes time. It's not like a drug that you take and the next day you feel better or anything like that. It's very, very slow process with most of these. Besides the anti-inflammatory ones, I've noticed those work within a day or two really, really well. Um, But growth hormone inducing peptides to see results, it takes months. These are not things that happen very quickly, right? So just be patient with them and make sure your patients are patient with them. But I will tell you the number one thing that we've seen since day one, when we first opened this several years ago, is that we would see a patient get a peptide, like let's just say BPC 157, an easy plain peptide. The next month they come in, they get 2 peptides. The next month they come in, they get 3 peptides. And this is not because the doctors are promoting it, because your patients are going to try them, they're going to like them, they're going to go online and start researching themselves and see what peptides are good for them. So they're going to, your patients soon enough will be walking in asking you for certain peptides without you ever bringing it up. So it is a great revenue stream for your practice. But just know that the most important part about any revenue stream you bring in your practice is to make sure it actually benefits your patients. And you can wholeheartedly know that these are going to benefit your patients. Everybody's going to be different. No one's going to respond the same. The healthier you are, the easier it is for your body to respond. If you have, chronic illnesses and things like that, your body's not going to respond as well. It's like if you're type 2 diabetic, and you're trying to do some things in the body to make them feel better. Until you get that under control and that inflammatory process and the insulin resistance under control, you're just going to be throwing rocks at a wall trying to knock it over, right? When you need a bulldozer to knock it down. So you've got to get the internal things under control first. Make sure the patient is healthy. Talk to them about what they eat. Talk to them about other medications they're taking. Just it's you're not just writing a prescription for money, right? Make sure that you are actually treating these patients properly and get a background on them. Make sure they're doing everything right. Limit their drinking, limit their smoking, tobacco use, anything like that. It's very important for all these things to be in place for somebody to become healthy. As we all know, we just don't always practice it. So that's my biggest thing. What I like to tell everybody is these are not going to cure everything in the world. They're not going to make everything better, but they are a great tool to help the body get in a better performance method, to become healthier, and to look better with some of the aesthetic products that we carry.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and educating us about peptides. I think this is a very exciting time to be in medicine. I'm in nursing school right now, and I want to be a nurse practitioner at some point and integrate these into my own practice. But a lot of us here are holistic, and this really is the future of health and wellness and medicine, I think, too, because we're working with the body to heal it from within. So, again, thank you so much, Rick, for being here. And
Yeah, of course.
you can still hear us. Thanks.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
We'll be doing this again on December 4th. And we have the link on plaxelplasma.com to sign up for that webinar. So we will be doing this again. Feel free to come back if you have more questions and come ask questions and learn. We'll probably hone in on a few specific peptides and learn a little bit more about them. But go ahead and scan that QR code and fill out that new account form, get that sent in, contact me on WhatsApp if you have any other questions. If you need a medical director, I will give you Mike's email address through WhatsApp. So make sure to contact me. If Laura invited you, contact her. And thank you again. Have an amazing Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. Check out plaxelplasma.com for our Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday sales. And we'll see you guys all again on December the 4th at 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
Thank you, guys.
So much.